For decades now, we have seen the humanities departments and universities fall to infestation from cultural Marxism, and it has only been getting worse with time. The sciences, in particular the hard sciences, chemistry, physics, and biology, have largely remained immune to infiltration from the cultural Marxists. There could be many reasons why, but the main one is that likely to be science is objective. Feelings are not involved. Scientific phenomena do not care about fifis, as opposed to the subjective, where ideology, like a postmodernism, reigns supreme, since there is no solid truth to anything, and that everything is equal in value, not based on merit or veracity, but just because there is no standard to strive towards and everyone can be a winner. Although with time, there have been some cracks developing in the dam of science, holding back regressive ideologues, as is now in plain visible sight as we see with the March on Science. Especially so, being an avid student of science myself, I remained hopeful that the March for Science, unlike all other marches scheduled after Trump's inauguration, would remain partisan-free and clean of any political posturing and be genuinely about advancing science for the sake of science. But it too has fallen to regressive leftist ideology. While the March on Science repeatedly claim on their website's mission statements that they are a non-partisan effort going out and advancing for the advocation of science, there are telltale signs of Marxist co-opting. We see here our first sign of co-option. We unite as a diverse, non-partisan group. At this point, the word diversity has become the tired slogan of the regressive left, and so I'm not entirely sure how they can have the word diverse and non-partisan together in the very same sentence. Here again, we see them claim supposed neutrality by saying that they are non-partisan. You know, it doesn't help your case to continue denying that you're not partisan when you've already established in the previous paragraph your adherence to modiversity. Just makes your feeble attempts at denying partisanship all the more glaring when you try and play the morally superior middle ground of the two ends of the spectrum. That is simply not the case. Under the heading Core Principles is where we see a gradual build-up of the buzzwords. We recognize that inclusion, diversity, equity, and accessibility in science are critical to ensure that science reaches its potential to serve all communities. Very ironic to mention the prevention of special interest groups from manipulating science to further their agenda when you have willingly fallen into the lap of the regressive leftists. Irony does have an odd way of working. We get into the next layer of regressive inception with a call to prioritize those with all identities and backgrounds, as if feminist mathematics or indigenous thermodynamics would have any effect on scientific progress in these fields. Because I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that the reality of mathematics or thermodynamics is utterly independent of whatever sanctimonious affixation SJWs want to stick onto the discipline. Now the second layer of regressive inception is here. Scientific inquiry is not an abstract process that happens independent of culture and community. Yeah, unlike your postmodern bullshit, science is not some abstract critical theory sophistry. In fact, the beauty of science and the scientific method is that it is like an international language, like a mathematics, if you will. We use the same methods in chemistry and physics from one corner of the world to the other. There are no alternative cultural truths to the DNA double helix model or to the law of inertia. And the fact that scientists can come from all cultural backgrounds, belief systems, orientations, genders, and abilities means nothing. Nobody cares about Leonardo da Vinci's proclivity for other men, or specifically in what orifice he preferred to insert his member. What matters is his scientific accomplishments, independent of his own personal life and how he chose to conduct himself. Attempting to slice and dice everyone up by their orientations and gender is little more than a poor veil for identity politics. We can see more of diversity and see the stage being set for affirmative action here, although at this point they're just rehashing their own talking points. Now, They're not even trying to hide it anymore. This is the motherlode of their ideology right here in all of its glory. Because why not? They have already given us all the necessary foreplay and lubrication that we need to be able to have their propaganda shoved down our throats. How many buzzwords can we fill in one sentence, you say? Scientists and people who care about science are an intersectional group. Oh, by the way, goddamn, that word triggers me harder than Milo triggered Triggerlypuff. Embodying a diverse range of races, sexual orientations, gender identities, abilities, religions, ages, socioeconomic, and immigration statuses. I just love how they threw an immigration status in there for good measure, because sanctuary cities and Muslims. And of course the obligatory comment guidelines following our benevolent hate speech filtering, which includes statements that reflect racism, sexism, ableism, xenophobia, homophobia, transphobia, or any form of bigotry will result in banning. Why not make everyone's lives easier and just use the utilitarian classic catch-all phrase, bigotry, instead of listing alphabet soup bigotry bingo buzzwords, huh? Anyways, folks, I hope you didn't lose as many brain cells as I did making this excruciatingly cringy video. But now we have seen that even seemingly impenetrable bastion of the hard sciences has been breached by Marxist ideologues. We must remain ever vigilant to speak out against such events that attempt to add scientists as a collective into one of the many identity groups just to use as another pawn in their greater cultural jihad that they are waging against rationality and skepticism. Thank you, everyone, and remember to always take the enthalpic route.